So it's back in my loft again, and time for another trip down memory lane with one of my earliest audio and radio books, which I did sort of find very interesting when I was younger. It's the Usborne Guide to Audio and Radio, and it was published in, let's have a look, this was published in sometime in the 80s probably. Might tell us at the back. There you go. 1982 this was published, so this is actually a copy from 1982. And it covers, actually, it is pretty good because it does cover a lot of the fundamental basics of audio, including how audio is transmitted, or certainly how it was transmitted, the types of different equipment that you could actually get, also gives you an explanation of basically what is sound, talks about how sound is derived from a microphone, which is quite good, also talks about how radio works, which is very interesting as well, and gives you sort of a look into how radio programs were once made, including a very sort of period looking pair of disc jockeys at the time, and also something about radio cars as well. So it's all really sort of interesting stuff, very sort of period. What is quite interesting, it talks about radio waves, and this was certainly good to look at when I was younger. Also taught you how you can make your own radio interference using a battery, some bare wire and a pencil, so you sharpen the pencil both ends. Talks about the different types of things that can produce waves or light waves, and different sort of types of frequencies that you can get. Also sort of gives us an idea about how sound is transmitted and the different types of waves that you can get, so a combination of AM waves and FM waves. Also talks about how they travel as well, and also talks about how you can get good reception. So if you are in an area with water or damp ground, it will travel very well. Reception is usually worst in areas where the rocks are very old. So places such as the Mendips, the reception may not be brilliant because it's basically very old limestone. Talks about how a transmitter works, which is quite interesting. Also gives you a look inside a radio, and really sort of gives you a very sort of graphical way of how the sound is produced, which is quite interesting and also very informative. Also talks about how cassettes and records are made, or cassette records rather. Talks about how LPs are made, so you can see that, how they're made there. Also talks about duplication of cassettes as well. Also talks about stereo sound. It really is a very good book for introducing you to the world of audio. I mean, you wouldn't really have anything like this these days because a lot of it is just going to be sort of covered in sort of standard science books, but this sort of puts a lot of the science into a sort of practical setting. So this would have been the sort of thing that you would have found in a sort of typical home during the 1980s. They would have had some kind of audio system present somewhere within the home. Also talks about making your own radio, which is quite interesting. A little bit about CB radio as well. That was certainly very popular in the late 70s and early 80s. A little bit about car telephones, which were still a very new thing back then. And different uses of radio and audio. And the future. So turntables will play compact discs. These exist already. They are only 120 millimeters in diameter and run for an hour a side at a speed of several hundred RPM. The discs are recorded digitally, and instead of a groove, they have millions of microscopic pits and flats. Turntables for the discs have a laser beam instead of a stylus. The beam scans the surface of the disc, reading the pattern of pits and flats. A digital current is produced, which is later converted to a normal current and then into sound. Digital sound as well, that was something that was sort of very new at the time. Some wristwatch watches will have radios in them. All audio equipment will be remote controlled. This was really cutting edge stuff at the time. Satellite broadcasts will provide improved quality pictures for large screen TVs, and there you can see they've actually sort of drawn a TV screen mounted to the wall, which we take for granted these days. Factories with noisy engines such as gas turbines will have noise cancelling chimneys. A microphone at the top of the chimney will pick up the sound. After amplification, the same sound will be fed back into the chimney via powerful loudspeakers in such a way to cancel the original noise. That's something that actually happens now, I think. Some radio and TV programs will come into your home through fibre optic cables. In fibre optics, sound is converted into light for travelling instead of electricity. Your electricity meter may have a radio connected to it, so the supply of off-peak electricity can be controlled remotely. That actually happens with Economy 7. Coded radio signals will be sent, mixed in with ordinary programs. Again, it's happening with Economy 7, has been for many years. But it is interesting just to see what the future was back then. Anyway, just a very quick look. Hope you liked it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.